Welcome back to No Man's Sky, everyone. Jason here, and in this video, I'm going to show you the top things you need to remember when doing the new expedition, the Utopia expedition in No Man's Sky. So in order to start a new expedition, or to start an expedition at all, you need to make a new game. You have to start a brand new save. And remember, we have 5 weeks at this time to do the community expedition, the Utopia one. That is the entire month of March. So there's no need to rush it. You don't have to go through and get it done right now. You have an entire month, a little over a month actually. So you have the entire month of March to get it completed. So don't rush it. That is the biggest tip I want to tell you guys is literally take your time, play it, have fun with it, because there's amazing rewards you get for playing the expedition, but make sure you get it done. But there's going to be 3 major ideas or major things I want you to keep in the back of your mind while you're doing the expedition. So let's start our expedition and I'll show you. All right. So now that it's officially started, you have that beginning like intro sequence. So when you first start out, the first planet you land on is an amazingly calm, gentle planet. You want to make sure that you just chill out here and collect as many resources as you can, because the later planets will get more difficult. So that is the tip number 1. Collect all your resources on this original, the first loading planet that you can load in on. Now, also keep in mind, you start out with a base computer. After that, when you have to go to the other planets and make your own bases, because in this expedition, they want you to make a base on different planets. So you have the first one, second one, you have to make a base again. Third planet, you have to make another base. Fourth, fifth, you have to make a base on every planet in the system. So you're going to need a lot of resources in order to do that. I would highly suggest kind of walk around, get everything done. The first thing you want to do is plant your base here. So let's put our base down. Done. And then you need to clean the area. And generally, you will start out with all of this stuff, cleared out. There's no one around. We're good to go. So let's do this real fast. We're going to clean the area. As long as there's no bases around, you're good to go. There you are. We're going to claim this area. You kind of get an aerial view of everything around, right? So you want to make sure you get your character going. So the other thing you want to do is, in order for a base to register to be able to be counted in the game, is to have 15 pieces. So you're going to want to have 15 different parts to your base. If you're rushing and you don't care about a base, you can just put down floorboards. As long as you put down 15 of these, you're good to go. But what I would recommend is make a little tiny square base. So let's put down 4 floorboards right here. This will give you the minimum you need. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's do that. Boom. We need to do that. You want to do 4 floors. Then you want to put walls all around it. So you're going to need 8 of them. We need to make sure we get our materials. Again, it's going to take a lot of materials in order to do this. So highly recommend you farm it out. Get a whole bunch of stuff. There we go. So we have our walls right here. You want to make a doorway. I mean, you can make an actual door. You don't need a door, though. So I always put an archway in. It uses less resources, and you'll be good to go. So we could do that. And also I use the floor for a roof. That way it counts. But this will give you your 15 pieces needed in order to officially have a base. There you go, 15. There you go. That's the minimum you're going to need in order for it to register. You also need to upload your base. You're going to need to, you can always rename it. Like you can name it anything you want within reason. There is a profanity filter, so you don't want to name it anything really disgusting. So I just name mine Jason Base 1 or Jason Cool Base 1 or whatever you want to do. And then upload it. And now it's in the servers. Now anybody can see your base in multiplayer. And the other thing I want to tell you, a little known secret, is by default, No Man's Sky will have PvP turned on. You want to turn that off. So go over to your options, go to your network settings, and look for PvP. It's always on by default. So you want to turn that off. That way nobody can get in your game and, kill you or, stop you from progressing. You don't want to have that on. I mean, unless you want to go fight people, that's cool too. But if you don't want to deal with that, you don't want to deal with a troll or anybody griefing you, just turn that off. And you can also, if you're in here, turn off multiplayer, turn off your group. That way it all works better. as a No Man's Sky a player, I will tell you that multiplayer makes the game crash a lot more. There's a lot more bugs and issues when you have multiplayer turned on, so I would recommend turning that off. Then, once you have your base, you want to make sure you're accepting all these rewards, right? Accept the rewards, because you'll see we got prepackaged personal refiner, copper, and an analysis visor plan. You want that analysis visor. You want all that other cool stuff in there. You want to make sure you collect all those pieces. And in order to make a visor, you need to have 1 carbon nanotube. So now that we have one, we can install it into our multi-tool. Let's do that real quick. Done. Now, the next thing, the biggest tip I could say after collecting resources is look for copper. You're going to need like 2,000 or 3,000 copper for this entire expedition. So make sure to collect copper everywhere you find it. Again, it's not a race. You have the entire month of March to get this done. So head on over there, and when you first start out, you have the multi-tool, the terrain manipulator, in order to get your copper. So let's go collect some copper. So you will see random copper deposits all over the place, but you need a terrain manipulator in order to collect all this metal, right? All this copper. Thankfully, for this expedition, you have it pre-installed on your multi-tool. So switch over to it. And then you'll notice when you pull out your terrain manipulator, you have a big orb and a small orb. That's all the area you're going to refine. I would say always go with the small ones in order to mine your resources, because let me show you the big one. If you press L1 or, L1 and R1 or left bumper, right bumper, depending on the platform you're on, it'll get bigger and smaller like that. The smaller orb will give you more resources. Like that. See, I got 2 silicate powder. Or if you switch over to your big one, it'll get rid of a big section, but it'll give you less resources. I only got 4 for that gigantic area. Look at that, 4. That's all I got. So I got double the resources, but I also used up a whole big area. As long as I go to the small one, I just got 1 for that little tiny piece. So look at that. That's why you want to use a small one. The only disadvantage is the smaller the orb, the more fuel you're going to use. You see how it says terrain manipulator up at the top right-hand side of my screen? I'm going to burn through a lot of my fuel doing this. But you get more resources. So especially for the copper, you want as much as you possibly can get. It's going to take you a little bit longer, probably a lot bit longer, because you're only getting a little bit at a time, but you're getting a lot more resources. Look at this. We're going to have a whole bunch of copper just from this one pile right here. So use a small one. Make sure whenever you switch over your weapons, like if I switch over, it'll always be it'll be the medium one. There's a default. The medium is the default, the middle one. You want to make sure to go to your smallest one and get your resources. You'll get a whole bunch of copper. It'll save you some time for searching all of the other locations for copper. But again, guys, you want to have a lot of copper. So kind of hang out on this first planet, get all the copper you can, slowly, go around, collect a whole bunch. You want to look around because you'll see a lot of them. You'll see like there's where is it over there? There's another one. There's a paraffinium. Oh, that's paraffinium. That's not copper. But you'll see these little like diamonds over in the distance. That means there's a resource over there and you can go grab them. So paraffinium, where's another one? I can't see any copper, but if we move around a little bit, we'll find more. Don't you worry about that. We will find more eventually. So this is a major deal. Always get as much copper as you can whenever you can. I would highly recommend using this first planet. It's a nice calm one because later on you get a volcano planet. There's also a high security planet, which means the sentinels are going to be constantly hunting you down. You don't want to deal with that while you're trying to get copper. Believe me, those sentinels will just make your life a living hell. Just grab your copper while you're here. Another thing you want to keep track of is these metal. As you're collecting your materials, you'll see some things that are like, oh, ferrite dust, and then analyze. You see the analyze down below the ferrite dust? That means there's another material you can get from scanning this rock. So we're going to scan it real fast. And so now we know we're going to get ferrite dust and dihydrogen whenever we mine this thing. You won't get that until you've scanned it. Like this one is different. Ferrite dust and analyze. What are we going to get from this one? Ferrite dust and dihydrogen. Again, it's going to be randomized materials underneath, and not everything has a secondary. This plant right here will give us carbon and condensed carbon. There you go. So make sure to scan as many rocks and as many plants as you possibly can. That way you can maximize the amount of materials you're getting while you're mining them. It really helps out a ton doing that. So scan everything. Scan it all. The other thing, another tip I want you guys to know is you want to do all of the milestones in order, because a lot of these are specific to the planet you have to land on. So in this one, you have to harvest humming sacks. That is not specific. You can get those anytime you want. Same thing for getting a pet, a companion. That's on phase 2, but you can get it right now before you leave the first planet. Oh, where's my animal? Oh, he ran away. Oh, there he is. So as long as you make some food for him, you can get those done early. So let me pop that down, and then we're going to adopt him as a companion. That is a milestone. There we go. So now our milestone should be completed when we get in here. We go to our expedition. Look at that. Phase 2. We got that one done before we even left the planet. So there are some you can do like that. But then there's some, like in phase 3, you have to harvest aquatic creatures. You have to discover underwater creatures. You're going to need to do that on the 3rd planet. You're also going to have to document plant life on the 3rd planet. So guys, there's a lot of these that are specific to those planets. I would say don't try to get too far ahead. Don't try to go skip all the way to the end and do some of this stuff. Don't do it. It's a pain in the butt. Just go along and do all of phase 1, then move on to phase 2, then move on to phase 3. Do them all in order. It is way easier that way. And the last tip I want to show you guys, this is going to really, really help you out a lot. Once you fix your starship, get inside of it, because we can collect materials even faster in your starship. So before you leave the first planet, all you want to do is kind of fly really low and slow and shoot the ground, because everything you destroy will turn into material. So it's way faster than mining beam all over the place. Like your mining beam, it'll take you a little while, you'll overheat, all that kind of stuff. Your starship has way higher damage. You're going to get a whole bunch more materials, and you can do it really fast. You're looking all over the place. Now, the only limitation is you can't get any advanced materials. So you'll see how like some of these rocks are pure ferrite. It says you need advanced mining laser required. I will never destroy that rock with my ship. The same thing goes for copper. You cannot get any deposits, any copper or anything that's buried down that you need a special tool for. But you can get a whole bunch of ferrite dust. You can get a whole bunch of carbon. You can get a whole bunch of oxygen, all the basic building blocks, all the materials you're going to need for later on in the expedition, you can get just by flying really low and slow, shooting the ground and collecting all this material. Like, look at that. We got 1,000 carbon just from flying around a little bit. It's a little bit harder for the ferrite dust. What you want to do is aim for those rocks. You can just destroy those rocks and you'll get a whole bunch of ferrite dust doing that. But you make sure you only can get the basic rocks. You can't get the more advanced ones with the, at least with the ship. With the photon cannon, it won't do that. But I mean, look at, we're up to 300 now. So do that. It's a great way to get a lot of materials really quickly. And you don't have to use any fuel. Like, you don't have to use any of your mining beam stuff. You have unlimited shots in your ship. So do it that way, guys. So hopefully these tips helped you out and you have an amazing time doing the expedition. Remember, it's not a race. You have the entire month of March to get it done. So go ahead, take your time, kind of chill out, walk around, especially on the first planet. I would always recommend use this first planet to collect all the things you're going to need to get later on in there in the expedition. So I will see you guys in the next video.